in a molecular, substructured sort of way, that goes on in a subliminal, subconscious sort of way that many of you are becoming aware of. You see, that is like, ooh, when you start to realize the multi-dimensionality. These big words are getting to me these days, kids. I'm getting old and I'm slipping in my diction and my predictions and all this kind of stuff. I'm down to 85% or so in what I predict, don't you know? Or maybe it was 65, or maybe it was 5%. I can't remember, man. Best stay out of that predicting business, eh? Oh, darling, we do a little of it here and there. We do a little bit of everything, man. We just get it all back together here at that original moment where rock and roll begins. Yeah, that's life, baby. Spring Creek, the headwaters of life, man, where the flow is just a tiny little corpuscle coming out of the ground, you know. Ooh, but that's where it's found, man. And that's when all the good kids start to dance around, you know. First they're little size of little tiny fairy beans, you know, 2 or 3 inches tall, and they grow and grow, and they sniff on the cactus blossoms, and all of a sudden they know all the secrets of the universe, all the secrets of sky and earth. It all comes together right there in that singular place, in that singular way. When you realize the vastness of the multidimensionality that originates right there in your perspective, in your certain little heart that knows exactly what it's doing here and has never, ever let you down yet. And probably never will if you treat it right, man. You know, now you got to take care of your heart. And I'm not talking about that little physicality thing, though that is part of it. The little boom, boom, boom that goes boom, boom, boom. And you get the oceans of love waving through you and all your corpuscles and veins and stuff. It's a corpuscle morning, by the way. I keep saying that, don't I? Corpuscle, corpuscle. Get into your corpuscles and find your genetic genes, okay? You can live them. See, you don't have to go and get your DNA tested to know who you are and what you're made of, see. You just get down there inside of your heart, because it's, like I say, it's steady and it's sure. Now, what the hell are you talking about? You say it's not the little bing, bing, bing that goes chugga, chugga, chugga and gets you all romantic and involved, too. Goes chugga, chugga, chugga when it's a wee bit excited, you know. Sniffs a little romance on the air, a little money coming your way, some shit like that. No, no, no. See, that's mostly programmed reality that surrounds your heart, you see. I know it's a little hard to accept that, just living here in the 3D, because that just seems so natural, don't you see? But it's so naturally unnatural. It's so inherently cruel in its application, because the heart puts itself forward, you know, based on what it calls trust, which is unknowing. But it's going by a feeling, so there's some knowing there, isn't there? You see, but it doesn't trust its knowing. It's been taught not to. It's been taught to refuse the knowing and always challenge it in some way, you know, so you're always a little insecure, and therefore you're having to, like, you know, extend your heart in a way that it could be tremendously wounded because you don't know that you know. You're denying it, see? That's what happens to many of us in this reality. In fact, most everyone, I'd say, at one point or another in your life. It's a little moment of realization, a little turning of the stream this way or that. You know, it does make its curves and twists. It goes through its rapids, too, man, you know. As we go down that stream of life, around that stream of life, and find out that we're the whole darn stream, not just what's going through the rapids, not just this one little molecule that we experience it in. Yeah, I'm talking about our tiny little 3D densified bodies, you betcha, man. That's a little molecule of water, man, compared to the tremendous blossom of growth all around us. But you're one of the most important little drops of waters there could ever be. And how you experience this stream of life is extremely critical to the reality around you. How you perceive it. See, you're predicting it. You're predicating the energy of what you're living in right now. That predicates your future. Now that means predates, predicts, you know, sets it up so you can step into it and wear it just like a new suit of clothes, see? But you step into it right here in this moment. By settling with yourself. Peace with the past is a peaceful future at last. Simple as that. And as long as you can follow that basic concept and know that it's in your perception that all of that flow, well, darlings, you can do nothing but grow and grow and grow into the more full presence of an understanding of the multidimensional and of your divine presence in it, even though you be but a speck of dust, a little speck of light that begins it all. Your personal experience is everything that is, and everything that shall be, too. You are predicating it right there, right now, just by ruminating it, seeing the vision of it, feeling it flow, see? That's how we create, and we are the creative center of life, each and every one of us as human beings, stepping forward to experience what we create in the moment that we create it, and dumbly, dimly so, not even knowing we control the whole flow. That's what all the big boys and big girls don't want you to know. But yet they don't know it either, so how can they hold it back? They don't even know what they're lying about. They just know that they got to keep you in an untruthful state, if they want to have that kind of fate, and just cause all kinds of misery and suffering and microchip everybody and control everything. That is one of the most insane feelings there could ever be. That is insanity, when you feel that disconnected from life, that you can destroy other people's lives, and gleefully so. That is completely asleep. That is completely programmed. That's being a cold, deadly little computer here, which can be a great instrument of light and love and a great expression thereof, or it can be the thing that launches the final nuclear warfare that wipes out everybody, The same machine can do both functions. So can you, see? That's how it works in the 3D. It's all in who you allow in the operator's seat. And then you don't have to trust anymore. If you get the right operator, then you're just automatically in the flow. So who would be that operator? Not little o you, not little o me. Yeah, it's our heart. It's our divine intelligence, the center of consciousness, which is basically in the center of our chest where the heart energy resides. Basically, you take it as you will. This is how I feel it. This is how I express it, And it's a unified thing because there's many hearts joined in here on the radio show we call Spring Creek, don't you know? Here on the Everclear Hazy Radio Network, we got those rays of love coming together. As soon as I click it on in the morning, I feel all those hearts assembling. Bing! And then we all go whoosh, and just expand and grow in the medicine of the rock and roll as we experience, the ironic, satiric, comedic aspects of our reality expressed musically, which is the only way we can really gain great understanding. You notice that a lot of times in your life, because there's been so much music already, that you'll be going through something and you'll hear in your head musical accompaniment. Sometimes song will stick there and you can't get rid of it, What's that all about? Are you that powerless? Or do you enjoy the music and you just want to hear it, but you lie about it so you can be irritated still? Gives you an outward form of expression. What is that irritation you feel? Steadily, consistently, well, that's the warlike attitude. That's the old coldness that has no gratitude. That's what would take other people out because they get in your way. That's the kind of attitude that doesn't know any integrity. It doesn't see integritas in anything. It doesn't think in integritous ways. It only thinks in the idea of, I'm a black hole and I want it all, don't you know? It just wants to suck it all in. It becomes a vampire. To a certain extent, just a take. Can't get enough. But that's programmed behavior, because that's completely opposite of our truth. See, the truth is that black hole ain't no black hole. It's the expansive flow at the center of it all. Again, it's where it all explodes into being, man, all of it. And it's in each one of us that way. And each one of us, in our perspective greatly influences the life around us. Greatly. Because we're creating that life. So we have the experience of it. We are the operators then. And the more convinced we are of our powerless ways, well, the more others can push your buttons and control the reality through you. That's what the game is all about. That's why they want you living in fear all the time, because then they control the reality. But they is us. See, it's a sickness. That insanity, it's a sickness. It's an anomaly we created a long, long time ago. And then we divided up into polarities. I mean, like stupid little shits that we are. We love, dancing around the maypole in the stupidest of ways. But we're just little children. We're just learning. So we allow ourselves whatever grievous nature of experience there needs to be in an artificial reality that we call 3D, where feelings can be felt to a limited degree, but cannot because we're surrounded kind of like by a big ball of glass. We're actually inside of a great big gigantic spaceship. But we'll talk about that later. But, if you have a little bit of presence, you'll know what I'm talking about. It will cue up memories. You'll see and remember what our real journey is here. We're coached into it every time before we come in and land down as babies again. Every time, man, we get it, everybody surrounds us, all of our loved ones, man, and everybody prepares us for what is to come. Yet when you get here within a few minutes, a few hours, a few days, a few years, because it takes a little bit, it all absorbs into your bones, all that, coaching and all the awareness that goes with it of the so-called other side, you see. And it goes into a very, very sub-psychological place, and then comes the test of the 3D, where cruelty reigns here. And you have to find a loving place in it, because you're just that kind of person, and you cannot accept cruelty as your reality. Yet you become a part of it no matter what. The cruelty just bleeds into you through your genes, through your programming, through the culture around you, etc. The environment is critical here. But then, the whole idea is to get lost in that so you can get found in that. And bring yourself around in that and see that indeed you planned the entire life that you're living as a step in your own progression before you ever stepped into time to live it. See, our normal aspect is what we would call outside of time. That's where our so-called higher self lives. That's where people supposedly die to when you die from here. You're right. Each time we make that journey and manage to find a little love in this cruel old world and manage to express it in some way, guess what? We've done our duty, and we've brought those two worlds a little closer together, to the point where now, in this thing we call time, the experience of life, we actually are, very, very close to reuniting the realms, and there'll no longer be birth and death. There'll no longer be the monkey trucking to go with it. You see, it'll be a completely different aspect. It's all in what we see. It's all in what we be. It's all in what we understand. See, so even if you just had a couple of near-death experiences in this lifetime, whatever, you too have brought a little more of that reality back with you and taken this one over there too. See, it's just bringing them back together a little bit. The more we realize the love in this life, the more we're able to express and experience it. No matter how abjectly, bastardly we have to be outside of that here in the 3D. But if you can just get it in there somewhere, man, fit it in there somewhere, well, there it is. It's another step. You see, we work together as a flowing collective called the stream of life. And each one of us, again, is that individual little molecule in there. But what we see, what we experience is critical to the whole entire stream. Because in that personal way, we are the entire stream. But then the entire stream, which we don't see here necessarily in the 3D until we start to get to these stages of realization, the entire stream flows with us. No matter what our activity might be. We might be stuck in a whirlpool over there alongside a craggy rock or something. We might be floating along a poor old tumbleweed that couldn't quite jump the creek, whatever. We're always playing a part, doing our part in the stream of life. And the stream of life is consciously present within us. And the more we become conscious of that, the more we live in the heart, the creative heart. Which I would call the divine feminine, because that's where all life comes from, is the feminine. The masculine and feminine are together. They're not divided energies. You see, we've been taught to see them differently in this reality, so we could be tremendously polarized and then traumatized as personal beings. Guess what? We planned all of this experience. We knew pretty much where it was going to go. You can't predict it, though, completely in the 3D until you're here living it, because it'll change flows on us. We allow that. We allow great flexibility in the lives we've planned. So if it doesn't go exactly X, Y, Z, well, it'll go A, B, C, and L, M, O later. You see, it has its own way about itself. And we're just learning through the realization of the loving aspects in our life to live in that creative space. where we really do, quote, quote, control the flow. Go with the flow is what the control is. When we see where the divine intelligence, where the collective stream of life is taking us, which is, of course, back to the ocean of love, where we can recreate everything and bring forward the maximum of life. That's what the journey of life is all about. Refining itself, making itself better every time it blossoms and grows until it needs seasons no more. Then it's got to this more or less divine perception where again it lives in its own creation. The flower then is aware of the blossom that it is, but of everything that makes that blossom be too. The whole entire structure of the universe is right there in this simple flower. And each of us is kind of like a molecule at the center of the bud, you know. And collectively, we are the joyous blossom of life and that centering bud that holds it together. Why do you think we're so fascinated with our buds in this lifetime? No, I'm talking about the green flower, the buds, you know. I mean, it's symbolic. It tells us exactly. See, we always have truth in our face, but we don't always see it. See, that's what makes it coyote. So you'll have these ironic metaphors like buds, you know, to suggest to us that we are the center bud of the flower of life. We're also the roots, the stems, the leaves. I mean, we're a complete unit. We're all of it. Starting to follow me again? I mean, or is it getting repetitive? I'm getting old? Tell me so, man. I'll change it up a little bit, okay? Because it ain't just the same old story. It's different aspects of it in a different way. Each every day, Monday through Friday, here in that coyote sort of way. Yes, indeed. At Spring Creek. The rockin'est little radio show into which you'll ever flow, only and exclusively on the Everclear Hazy Radio Network, dear. If you don't believe me, stay tuned in here. We got a lot more for you, man. Lots of crazy rock and roll to bring you back to sanity, don't you know? Along with a whole lot of heartfelt medicine for your, you know, your little heart and soul, baby. Got to make it as large as the universe in your little submolecular structure there, okay, man? See how you experience multidimensionality? You just open up and allow what you truthfully see, what you truthfully feel. That's where it always starts. It's all in what you feel. It starts there. That's the deal. Your eyes will follow. Your third eye will open. Your conscious presence will see itself as a unified existence, experiencing this life in a multi-dimensional presence, way beyond whatever you've been able to know or see before in the 3D, despite the great mathematics that we've used to, you know, put it together here, or at least say this is how it be, quantum physics, anyone? But it's such a joke that we have to trick ourselves into seeing it in such ways. You see, we come from the caves, man. We come from the earth. We come from the dirt. We come from the stupidity of dirt in a way. Yet dirt is not dumb. It exists so everything else can put their roots down in it and live. And that's what we've been providing down here in this 3D, the dirt of our reality, the base from which everything grows once the water flows, see? Spring Creek, babies, I'm telling you, you're starting to catch on. Hey, and a gigantic shout out of love, a big old warm hug, and a welcome back to life to our dear sweet friend Charity Love, who somehow or another got lost and meandering around the 13,000 foot level of Mount Shasta a week or so ago, was out there meandering for 3 days, but the angel found her and helped her through it along the way, and baby, ooh, welcome back. You got to be prepared for energy like that when you go to a place like Shasta, and always buddy up too, man, even though the experience is real personal, you know. At these higher altitudes and in energetic gathering places like that, the energies can be real powerful, and you can literally become disoriented. I know what's happened to me up there by the Three Sisters in Oregon one time, hunting mushrooms up there. I got a little disoriented, and the landscape there was, you know, littered with really tall trees, and was kind of level for a bit, and I couldn't see my way out. I'd left markers behind me, but I couldn't find them, man. And so I just had to follow my nose, follow my senses, and just trail myself to where I knew there would be a road dissecting me, and I'd start to get some orientation back. But it was the high energy of being up there around those mountain peaks and up there in their gracious little saddles, hunting around for these tiny little precious mushrooms under these big old pine trees, man. That's where you'd find them. It was quite the deal, man. But, ooh, darlings, you got to be ready. And here I am, a seasoned mountain veteran since I was a kid. I mean, I grew up next to some really tall, ruggedy mountains, and I was free to roam those things at certain times from the age of 5 onward, maybe even a little before that. But from 5 onward, I was trusted by myself in the mountains. You know, and so I learned, I grew a lot, and sometimes through hard and sorry experience. And I lost a few of my friends to those mountains, falling off of cliffs and so forth, doing things they shouldn't be doing. And there but for fortune go I. But with all of that experience behind me, you know, I was about 35, 40 years old when I was out there hunting mushrooms. You know, at that young age, I could still become disoriented in the mountains. Amazing. Well, we know what really happened at Charity, babies, and oh, we bless you for being willing to go through something like that. You know, we got to remember that our lives are pretty much predicated on the desires of the heart in the beginning of the life. So an experience like that is a part of the greater design of our life. For some reason, she needed to be alone in those mountains for a bit, and probably communicating with both some favorable and not quite so favorable beings, you know, because a lot of presences when you're alone in the mountains will make themselves manifest that otherwise you wouldn't see. But when you're alone and they know you need a little help, it empowers a lot of different energies, everything from little fairies to some extraterrestrials that might be hanging in that present place. You never know. I'm sure she'll have a story to tell, and sometime we'll get her here on the radio show after she has the time to settle down a bit. You know, she's also quite a well-known person, one of the sweet angels that came here from Crestonia, one of our divine extensions to the rest of Mother Earth, man, out there practicing her heart and doing a darn fine job of it. And congratulations, Charity, for surviving, for having the willingness to go through it, for seeing yourself through it, and allowing the angels to help you every step of the way. You're a beautiful soul. And you set a grand example for the rest of us. And I thank you for it, baby. You rock, and so do the rest of us too, man, because you got to realize that's us there living with her too, you know. Every life is like that. You know, you heard that old saying about walk a mile in my shoes? You can do it anytime you want to. Babies, it's all there. Every bit of experience that's ever been lived or will be living, it's all right here, right now. You see, and we can access it. And we're able to be that close with one another, to the point where it's really hard to distinguish ourselves from the greater self that we are. Just allow ourselves to personally experience it. That's all. Ego can't feed on that. There is no ego. There is no emptiness. When you realize that you're thinking consciously in unity with all the hearts that be, especially amongst humanity, but the full presence of creation joined with that too. That's why we can experience each other's presence, each other's story, if we choose to, personally or in a more expansive way, which is far simpler, wouldn't you say? Okay, babies, we're starting to learn how it is that we create. There'll be more medicine in the flow here on this radio show we call Spring Creek From the Beginning, don't you know? Oh, yeah. Only and exclusively on the ever-clear and ever-loving, too, Hazy Radio Network, hazyradio.com. We got it on early in the day when Grandpa and his little Okie and a whole raft of other angels come out to play. Yeah, babies, we're all angels. Everything's made of the angelic realm, don't you get it? Even the demons of darkness are angels, babies. Take a look. Help them reignite, man. Help them understand they're already in flight. There is no demonic presence. There is no darkness. There's only the light. Now you can rock it, babies, and get it just right, because it's Spring Creek flowing through you, babies. It's singular.